yourself again. We have 3 topics, and what we're going to do is we discuss each of the 3 topics, all of you. Each table will have a facilitator, so we have allocated David Bassett here on this table. There is Mieke, and there's Giuseppe there. What we will do is each group will discuss each topic for 35 minutes, and then the facilitators will change table. So the participants, you will all stay at the table that you're at, but you'll be discussing a different topic. So each group will be discussing 3 different topics. The facilitators will also explain to you the topics, a little bit more details about it. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I will keep time. After the interactive working groups, we'll have a little break, and then we'll come back plenary, and the facilitators will then report back to the whole group what came out of your discussions. So are there any questions at this stage about this exercise? No? Okay. If each of the facilitators can take a group now then, and then we can start.
I would like to know what your experiences. I will tell you what happened with me when it was maybe 15 or more years ago, when I started to go for a more interactive way with the students. Many students didn't like it. Many students said, "This really, really." They said, "Oh, give this much more work. We prefer to follow the course and
study these stuff,"
because they had no experience. But within, let's say, a year or a couple of years, then they started enjoying it. But I was really surprised to see that there was a reluctance at the beginning. Maybe also because the students were so used to sit there, to be very inactive. And when I started applying it with more direct interaction, some told me they don't like it. But so that's what I'm wondering if you have similar experiences. And I think we also need to train the students. Okay, later, I must say, later it was the students who taught me about new possibilities with this software and another software. So, yeah. So, did any of you, in Vietnam, you told me that it's really difficult to change the mentality with the students. And also with the teachers, because they are paid for the number of pages in
textbook.
I think I have an opposite experience with you.
Yeah.
When I opened the channel to students, the question is coming in day and night, and I cannot answer everything. Yeah, so it's like maybe I should cut down or something. Yes, and sometimes their question is like they didn't look for the answer and they are waiting to be fed.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they'll just ask, "Sir, how is this? Sir, how is this? Yeah, please check." Yes, yes. So opposite. Yeah.
But that's a good point, because what I try to encourage is, like, Google is fantastic for, I mean, students these days, they're sitting in a lecture and they've already Googled it and figured out, like, what I don't know, right? And so I try to say, okay, when they do ask me those questions,
it's our study, your study. And I arrived at one conclusion, is that in fact, when let's revisit a house, the circulation system, very sophisticated equipment, so they are not supposed to touch that. Even a faculty cannot spend a lot of money to buy a sophisticated equipment that they are touching and plug, so they will destroy it very easily. So they have to see and not to touch. And when they are in a fish farm, obviously that they are not supposed, first of all they have to be very thankful if they are already in a fish farm, that they are not supposed to touch the water because of biosecurity, because of this, to prevent diseases, because the fish get stressed. So I thought that maybe small little models so they could touch without being so expensive for one faculty. One university cannot spend millions with it that will be destroyed sooner or later. Like a skimmer, that's probably the best example, and it wasn't my small presentation I made. There's skimmers that are very, very simple, and the basis of a small skimmer is exactly the same basis of a very sophisticated skimmer. So then if there's a small little tank with some protein, water and little protein, there will be foam, and if it's salt water, there will be foam, then we can regulate the...
I'm going to interrupt you.
Sorry.
You're jumping, not at all. But you're talking into topic one. So we're going to keep that.
Yeah, still number
The examples of innovative teaching. I think it's a very good example.
Okay, I'm sorry, I talk too much.
No.
Please interrupt me because...
Not at all. But it's for my colleague. Voilà, then you have a good one. So we are here with the challenges. Yes, please.
Well, I noticed 3 challenges aside of this, what you already wrote down. First, many university has a big classes. And having innovative teaching for the big class, like you have small group discussion like what Sandra explained, it's really a big challenge because you're only alone in that class with many students and not all of them are really into it first. And the second one, maybe for some lecturers, they're not really into learning the innovative teaching because it's you need to learn many things more. It's easier just read the textbook and then explain it than like preparing the courses and making video and everything else. So that's the second one. What was the second? I don't remember. Okay, I have to.
Number of
No, but to apply innovative teaching with a big group is a challenge. Is a big challenge.
To master the innovative teaching, you need to use software, you need to use like videos, and not everybody into it. Like me, I'm not really into technology. I mean, I can ask people to do that. Usually, I'm doing my best to do that. But some of my friends,
But at both levels, training at the teacher level and at the student level.
At the student level as well. Oh, I remember the third one. The academic atmosphere. Not every university has this academic atmosphere that really encourage you to have this innovative teaching. Especially if you have many, old-fashioned lecturer in your faculty, then you are like really out of box, and not everybody. Not many students like that because more work for that.
your head of the department.
Not the head.
That maybe your head of the department does not support it.
Not only not the head of department. I think the system in the university encourage us to move on. Use the innovative technology, but the atmosphere. If you have many lecturer with the old-fashioned method, and students like that, and you come and give the students work, and the students hate you.
Yeah. No, and it's very good that you are bringing this up, because that was also the experience in Vietnam. And the rector there, I must say, was a great person. He came up with incentives at 2 levels. So the teachers who were coming up with innovative material got a bonus, financial bonus. And second, in the evaluation of the person, there was a new box, innovative teaching. So you could score in your next evaluation, you could score because you were in fact...
And also,
I think incentives there is a good point. I like that.
Incentive. If you have this innovative teaching methods, and maybe like you have an award for that because the student evaluation is really good and you have award for that, and the university can give you award as well.
To motivate, an incentive, that works.
And also,
it can be at different levels.
There is a big range of the, ability of the students to do the searching, because most of the material is in English. And there is some limitation in that. If you are going to a big university, there is good facilities, and everybody speaks English. But if you go to many small private universities, they don't have that facilities, and the students that enter that university is not, it's not the first class student, and you really have a big challenge when you try to do something like this.
Di Panapura bahasa Indonesia.
Bahasa Indonesia, but that's a big university. But I'm teaching also at a small university, private university, not yeah, you can say it private. And if you do something like, okay, do this and start this, and they just, okay, and then come up with nothing. It's all in English.
That will probably change by time.
Exactly, but for the moment, yeah.
I can imagine also in Myanmar.
Yeah, it will be a big one.
See what evolution some countries have made now when you speak about Vietnam. 40 years ago.
In the beginning, many students, they like to know the bibliography that is available, books, a lot of information, but sooner or later it seems that they just want to simplify everything, and they just want, please, Professor, can you just give us just one book, where should we study, and they just want to simplify. Well, I criticized that, and I was told by a colleague that when I was young I was the same, so maybe.
But students sometimes are lazy. We have several examples here.
They just overload, I guess.
No, but then think, oh, I only have to send a mail to the professor and he will give me the answer. No,
yes.
Look for the answer.
For the facility, not only internet and space, but also, for example, teaching farm.
Yeah, farm, practical.
Try it while we are discussing. It's Indonesian way.
For example,
A little bit like you were saying. Yeah?
You're talking and you're discussing and not eating. It's not
Farming
polite.
the whole system and the farmers harvest for next season. Yes.
You go to, no, I was just going to say, so most of my education was in Canada and the US and Australia. And then I went to Sweden as a professor. And I see a huge difference in what's accepted as teaching I mean, in Canada, it's very structured in the sense of, like, innovative in the sense of lots of technology. You know, every student knows how to use printers, every student knows how to, you know, the technology is very advanced, and it's expected that teachers know how to do web design of their courses. And in Sweden, it's very, very different, where there's almost no focus, as far as I can tell, on teaching, or any innovativeness in terms of, well, at least in my department. And so, you know, people bring in guest lecturers. This is the typical way of getting lectures accomplished, is you bring in lots of guest lecturers, so then you don't really have to teach much of anything at all. But then there's no continuity. You know, the students don't, you know, one guest lecturer is talking about something, but they don't have the basics to understand why that's important. And it's really frustrating to me, because I see that technology is not helping if the content's not there. And I really want to come back to that point, because some of this innovative teaching stuff is really great, but the content also needs to be there. And I think we focus sometimes on making it pretty. Like, I had a little bit of that this morning with her PowerPoint. I'm like, yes, I'd like to have pretty PowerPoints, but I'd much rather, if I'm pressed for time, worry about the content of my PowerPoints.
Then the beautiful one.
To make them beautiful, because, you know, and then you can hand them the PowerPoints and say, look, it's on the exam, that's what you need to know, right? Because that's what they're going to ask next, is it on the exam?
Yeah.
Typical for
Can I borrow your PowerPoint?
Exactly, you can have the PowerPoint.
Point limitation in terms of time, that we need to invest time and energy for innovative teaching, am I right? I don't know if this is an excuse, but I think we have like not so much time in our hands because we have administrative work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Very
I
true.
love the PowerPoint really much, but when I look at how Sarah presented, it looks like it's so tedious and too many things that I have to learn, which is, it is very interesting, but I think need time to do that.
It's very good that you mentioned that, because people might be thinking too much about the fancy things.
And the content itself.
No, and the point that you were raising, I think this is also where the university should take some responsibility and provide for the teachers, also provide in decreasing the workload on the number of hours. Well, again, No, but this is again in Vietnam, when we were going through these difficulties. That particular rector at that time, he decided, okay, those who are interested, they can apply, they can request for 1 year or for 2 years to have a reduction in the work in the course load, to adapt some of the courses for innovative teaching. Because you are right, it takes time of the teacher. And if it is for the same pay, if it's for the same salary, or some,
who's going to do the extra? In my case, just too busy. I don't know where I'm supposed to find time to make my PowerPoints all look really pretty.
exactly.
Usually they're written about 20 minutes on the train before I have to
It's
And they want
cookies.
PowerPoint where they can study.
Exactly.
They have a good grade.
Yes,
They want to know what's on the exam. Well, it was on the PowerPoint, therefore it's on the exam. Whereas whatever they discussed in groups, I can't give them the exam answers for that.
Maybe comparing the past and the present. In the past, it was easier to find a job, and it seems in my mind that the students were studying what they wanted for a long time because they were not worried that they didn't find a job in the field that they like. And nowadays, many of them, they are so much worried about getting a job that they ask before they finish the course, is it easy to find a job in that area? If it's not, they just might change. It's a kind of maybe comparing past and present. And the more courses exist, I mean courses concerning institutions, the more institutions exist, which is good for competition between institutions or to make better education. But at the same time, there's more specialists, and then more difficult to find a job, and then some give up, and some are fantastic with good skills, but just no impression. I saw more than one that they loved to go to aquaculture, but then they couldn't find easily a job, and they were giving up too early and saying yes to something that they might not like so much.
Can we drag them back? That's innovative.
Well, they want to be independent, so obviously I also understand that. So.
Okay, maybe we go a little bit more towards the solutions. Let's look at the language facilities, internet and bandwidth. What would be the suggestions for solutions? How can that be solved, that problem? The governmental?
First, at the top level at the university has to be committed that this is a priority. It needs to start there, and then they need to, in their own budget, make priorities or look for budget. And I think you need to see it at the level of the management of the university. You cannot expect that this department or that faculty that they all need to do it on their own. And then it is either from national funding or that they look for international projects where they can get that funding.
But is it solvable at the level of university? As I guess a lot of you said, it's the providers of the internet. Nothing to do with the university, that's more of the government.
You don't have to have an internet to be innovative. I mean, it's nice, but it's not necessary.
What is not necessary?
Well, I just don't know if the internet is necessary to be innovative. I mean, I agree with you, but it's just like, even in Sweden, where we have absolutely perfect internet, sometimes it doesn't work when you're trying to show a video, or you don't know why. It's not to do with the internet. It's something more complicated with the systems or whatever. But in a way,
then it's training.
Yeah. Then
we are still we still need to say what is the solution for that.
Training in using the modern IT tools.
Well, I did in Canada because it was expected of instructors. That we could use all these, and we used it as students, even at the PhD level. We were all interactive learning online. And
so, at your universities, is there any opportunity for the teachers to get training in the use of PowerPoint and use of?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Actually,
good.
it's done regularly at a different level, a beginner and then.
We only have 5 minutes left. So maybe let's look at a board that's still missing. Finances, solutions.
Maybe just to adapt to lower finance.
Yeah. Creative.
I agree that innovative teaching does not have to be by force have to involve internet and finances. It can be very innovative just by thinking out of the box. It does not have to cost anything. Maybe we should.
Yeah, but still, then you need training. Training for the teachers, training for.
Else. Maybe these things, solutions can be just thinking out of the box without internet and be innovative in another way.
But it's going to be difficult without internet because many of the information is going to be on the internet now.
No, I think.
But then we say that today, in many countries, innovative teaching is not possible.
No, that does not exclude. But I would not say that good access to internet is not important. It's very important.
Very important.
But when you don't have it, you can be creative with other means. But you have big.
Creativity is one of the solutions.
But you will have big limitations when you do not have internet access.
I think. Can I say something? I think that when we create enthusiasm in students, we make them enthusiastic thinking. It doesn't cost money and it can work. So even without any internet, creating them being enthusiastic and
field trips. I agree with you on field trips. That was going to be like,
getting them involved.
the more they go out and do things, and actually do them, see them, talk to people in industry, the more motivated they stay on the topic. If they think it's just a study for the exam, they don't really care. And once that exam is over, they go on to other things. So I think part of innovativeness for me is not thinking about technology necessarily. It's thinking about how to get students in environments where they're really excited about what they're doing. And that's not so easy. That's a different kind of innovative.
Anybody else? This kind of says what you all once we have solutions for it, you go
No, English is very, very important, mainly to provide mobility between countries. So the better, the more English they know, the more mobility can be made.
It makes it easier. No, and
To work and to study.
I think ASEAN FEN is really, I'm so proud of what you have accomplished here. In
I mean,
so few years.
we talk about English, could be any other languages, but in fact it's the language that is.
It's the language of science.
Yeah.
With all respect for all the national languages.
And in the future, I think that they recognize that if they have a good English, it opens the doors of the world are opened.
I have one more question here. The lack of knowledge. We see that merely as knowledge of one certain type of method of teaching, or knowledge that those types exist.
Of course.
Graduate, like I teach mostly graduate students, masters or PhDs, and they have sort of resentment. They feel like it's childish to teach them with group discussions and things. They want lectures, they want like science details, they want...
Sorry?
And so there's a culture in my university where if you do try these things,
Kenyang.
like, well, get the facts, man, please.
It's often also because of ignorance.
Yeah.
It looks like a nonsense, but young people many times they prefer a classical. They want to be treated as adults, as you said, and not treated as kids. So many times they ask a formal, even if they don't say these directly, in a way they ask for formal class.
Yes, you give them jigsaw pieces and they're like, well, that's really childish.
No, that's true. That's correct.
We're adults, we don't need jigsaw puzzles.
That's true. That's true. So sometimes
next to our name.
old methods and new methods, they can be just depending on the group.
Yeah, depending on
But I think it has a lot to do with training. If before you start using it, there is somebody giving a class, but these are the tools that facilitate this and that, then the student is introduced. But you come and bring this, and immediately they think about when they were 5 years old. What is this here? I think you first need to introduce the concept.
You kind of start your class and say, okay, when I just teach you, you're like used to, you remember maybe 10% of it. But when you include vision, that's what Marika said, all these things, then you remember more and you have to study less later. That might even be sufficient to remember over the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So we have to move or you move?
You move.
Okay, you stay.
We are the lazy guys.
We really like.
But we're allowed to move to get a cup of coffee.
Do I take the black one? Yeah, so I can
Get to the restroom.
We really like our facilitator. We give her the best grade.
need the papers, I'll need to write the report.
You can stay. We like you.
Mika, do you want
just discuss different issues.
Because I had the solutions and the challenges.
Okay. Yeah. So you have because I also have it depends on if the others need it as well.
Thank you.
It was a great pleasure.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is the first topic.
question?
The best practice examples of innovative teaching and material. So basically we're going to give example of what you've been using so far and they worked and what you used to didn't work. And then I will ask you one simple question, which is what is innovation for you? If you have to describe it. Okay. Innovation. How would you define innovation?
Anything that is different from what you did in the past.
Okay.
Even if it's old methods, so can be old methods mixed with new methods, can be things that have nothing related with old or new, like international mobility is innovative. Something that, like you said, it hasn't been much done until...
Just, I'm talking now the Aquaculture project that you heard about. So we had for 14 years regular meetings between the different universities in Europe involved in aquaculture education. And to come back to your word, innovation, just hearing from a colleague, this is the way I deal with the students, or another one, this is some of the practical exercises I do with it. I consider this innovation.
Okay.
And of course, many times when we talk about innovation, we think about IT tools. And of course, this is also innovation, but simply learning from a colleague how he is doing things a different way than I have been doing. And that can be very, very constructive, because this is where you learn from each other. You take up things that through experience you have developed, I have developed, and you blend, you come with some new blended way of...
Better way, better.
One thing that I learned a lot when I was like we had courses. The first year instructors were all required to take this units in Canada. This was when I was at the university there, and it was very helpful because they sort of gave us a formula. And I don't know if this is innovative, but at least it gave us a formula for like doing more interactive teaching. And so each, you couldn't just give a textbook summary and then an exam. And if you did that, like the supervisors in the courses would basically throw it out and say, sorry, you have to redo it. So, but once you had this formula, it's really easy to be innovative because you realize, okay, it's all in how you structure the course from the very beginning, because you can be very innovative even in a conventional sort of way if you've got that structure established so the students are expecting. You can't halfway through the semester decide to do something completely new and out of the box, because then it's too much of a shock.
So you mean like kind of guideline?
Yeah, but how to like do modules. Like I could give some examples. I brought some examples to discuss today. But like they give you how to set up modules that are interactive, or how to set up projects. So each student does a video project or a, some sort of for their evaluation rather than just studying for an exam. So then their grade becomes a combination of exam plus innovation. And the students were the ones who would come up sometimes with the projects, then they'd be super innovative. They'd go, oh, can I do this, this, and this? I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. I would never even have thought to assign that. But because they were allowed that as part of their evaluation, almost you paid them to be innovative in a sense. Like they got a better grade if their project was much more innovative. And weird was not okay. Like there's a difference between innovative and just bizarre. Right? I mean, I was dealing with aquaculture engineering students. So if engineers can be said to be innovative. But they had to go approach somebody in the industry and convince them that this idea was worth pursuing, and if so, and they had to have an industry partner. And it really gets them going because you structure it that they have to be the ones to come up with the innovativeness. They're directing their learning.
When you say bizarre, what do you mean? Like
Oh, I don't know.
an example of bizarre teaching, how would it be?
I had courses, for instance, when I was a graduate student, where instead of submitting a term paper, which was the convention at the time, we were told to do, expressive art projects or something, and that was just bizarre. I mean, it was just.
For you, but not for the ones that art should be. You have to be careful.
I mean, I remember putting together a whole dossier for a final engineering project that included beautiful pictures, and I went, but that shouldn't have been the point of the activity. It should have been to design systems and structures. Content, yeah. But I think there was so much emphasis 10, 15 years ago on, let's all be so innovative, that they lost sight of what was actually. But okay, but all I'm trying to say, I will shut up after this, but I want to say that you can design the course in such a way that the students themselves make the course innovative. With their own ideas, they are far more sophisticated than we are. We're 10, 15 years older than them, and we're not coming up with innovative ideas. But if you design your course right, they will do it for you.
I will get that in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would like to add on a little bit on your opinion. I think it's true because in our program we have a course we call the share farm. So the share farm is in the nearly final year. So these students, they are divided into groups, and then they are given, they have learned all the fundamentals, practicals, everything, and then we separate them into groups, and we want them find your own business proposal, and then they can find in the hatcheries what kind of species they want to sell, they want to culture. They have to grow their own fish, and then sell off and get some money and earn the money. So during that process, we can see some group of students, they rather sell the fish like this, but they cook into something and they can sell in higher price. So I believe there is a part that we can see innovation from the student. We just set the target and what you have to do. Yes, achieve. That's it. And then you can see how they move the creativity ideas comes from.
And you grade them on the innovativeness of their projects and how they design them.
Yes. No, we grade them based on their hard work.
How many fish?
Not really how many fish, but how the students are involved.
Yes.
Yes, how they're involved, and then how many money they generate.
Okay, that's
How
good.
did you assess them individually or like group assessment?
It's a group assessment. Yeah, but of course, each group they will be attached to one of the some called like a mentor. This mentor can be a postgraduate student, can be a staff in the hatchery. So this hatchery staff, they will keep an eye monitoring their own group. So this student is not working, they will report to the course coordinator. This guy is not working, and then we call them out, something like that. Yeah.
I would get students to rate the other members of their team at the end, and that was part of the grades. So like I say, you can integrate this so that they have, if somebody's a complete slacker and doesn't do their work, guess what? The rest of the team members know about it. And so as long as you incorporate that into how they're being evaluated, they police themselves without you needing to do it. But again, these are all tricks that we learn so that the students are completely, like a teacher's job is only to facilitate. I mean, you can't make a student learn who doesn't want to learn. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to, but you can create a lot of incentives for them to want to.
For the chef, the money all they collect, they will pay off the rental fee for our hatchery, and then the rest will into their product.
That's so cool.
But
which university are you? I'm coming up.
So we also have a program that the students, they will form a group selling off the fish, and they raise funds to attend the internship in foreign country. Yes, for example in Taiwan, in Japan, or in Singapore.
That motivates the students.
Yes. Those they will try to work harder, earn more money.
Is that the reward that they will get?
Yes.
They get an internship.
Yes,
That is brilliant.
Yeah, because at the end of the year they have to go for industrial training. About 10 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. So at that time, of course, we try to deal some of the part for their free accommodation and something, but they still need money for living. So that will contribute to their living fee, part of it.
Is that some sort of income generation to the faculty as well?
They just have to pay the rental fee for the tanks or whichever facilities that they use during the project. Yeah.
Because you know that these days, social relations university, they really encourage us
Yes,
to
yes.
generate income.
In Indonesia as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's pretty hard, right?
It's a very good thing, but only if you're a dean, let's say, you can put scholarships in place. But if you're a teacher, how would you do that?
But the kids make the money.
Yeah,
They sell the
it's a design in the curriculum.
So you ask them to design.
No. This program, what the students should do, everything is already been designed and already been approved by the government.
Okay,
So yeah, as long as they carry out all the process, and then where's the monies go, we can decide it. Because there's an extra.
So the best project gets the money, basically.
Yes.
Well, they grow the fish, they sell the fish, and they have to show their profit on the fish.
Yes, yes.
And then whatever is profit goes to the students, and the basics from, I mean, as I
There's rental
understand,
fee, everything. They will
goes
just
to the
give-
university.
Yeah, university.
and goes into a scholarship pool. I
That's
mean, it's a
great idea.
super
So
brilliant idea for giving kids incentives
Yes.
to want to.
It's good if the students are very proactive and they support such programs.
They have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they will fail.
if they
that
are not
subject.
following this curriculum, this course, they will not fulfill the
Is it small
graduate.
number of students or like?
It depends on the group. So in our student one batch, minimum we probably will get around 30%. So we can separate into 5 groups, 6 each, or more, 7 of us if we have more students.
They start from the design of the farm, or they start already from the further?
The facility is available.
The facility is
It's available,
available.
so they don't do design of the farm.
No, no.
They choose the fishes, or
Yeah, they choose their own.
so they choose their own
Yes.
fish.
So they can visit to hatcheries, and then first come first serve. They will see, oh, now the hatcheries they have these seeds, so they can deal with the hatcheries. How much if I want to get this seed? So usually our hatchery will sell to the student cheaper. Yeah, so they get a cheaper feed, and then they will use their own money to buy the feed, everything first, and then after they sell off, they get off their own costs. The rest they pay the rental fee, and the remain net profit, then that will go to the
But I like what you were saying about added value, that not just selling, but maybe preparing a different
Yes.
way and making that.
This
is
project
nice
comes out
creativity.
this year, only this year.
Well, with the value adding and
They turn the catfish, African catfish, into Filipino, a kind of Indonesian food also. Yeah, and they sell only weekends. And very interestingly, yes, catfish. They only sell in Saturday, Sunday because only that time they have no class. But
How long do they have to do this?
Two semester.
1 year, more or less.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, more or less. So during this period, they still have to go to work. So they have to plan their schedule. Oh, this is your time to take care of the fish. The afternoon, you have to go and feed the fish.
What happened in is not working. I mean, like the fish died for some kind of reason, so they have to repeat it again.
Yes, because they are given about 1 year. So they should have do their best during this 1 year.
But what if the fish die towards the end of the semesters?
Then you're lost.
So
it's real life.
This is real life.
blended between the basic subject and what's called
Plan B.
business or
Sorry.
entrepreneur. Is
Yes,
it entrepreneur?
yeah.
And I presume that the colleagues that from the year before, no, from the year after, they will tell the students, the colleagues the year before, that hey, don't go with so high densities, don't
Yes.
be careful with the risk. You are going to
Yeah.
lose everything. So they teach each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the culture period when the project is going on, the mentor sometimes will go and walk around and say, hey, your fish is in trouble, you have to change water, something like that. Yeah. So if half day, the fish start gaping or everything, and then mentor will call, hey, come, your fish is dying. Yeah, some sort like that. But if they are not doing anything, then just wait for them to wash the tank tomorrow. We're not going to help them. Yeah, some sort like that.
I would love to continue on this one, but
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
give
Yes,
everybody
please.
the
Yeah.
chance.
Then I come back here.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
You have to tell me as well things that didn't work.
Yes.
But first of all, what sort of material or methods do you think you're using that is good for students?
Well, what I have done so far, I'm in disease field. What I've done so far, the first, I only have to teach like four times. For one course, we have like 16, how to say?
Credit hours? Credit hours?
Not 16 credit hours, but for one semester the class meet 16 times. 16 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. So I only teach like 4 weeks it's like team teaching.
Okay.
Usually what I do, the first class I am lecturing this is what we're gonna do for the next 4 weeks, and then giving them where the resources is, and then dividing them into groups, and I assign them each one what is what kind, like for in case of the disease, this type of disease you should do everything. Okay? And then the next week they will come and have this group discussion and preparing. And on the first week we will have a poster presentation like in a scientific meeting. I will bring chips, and they are happy with it.
Food.
I will
Me
bring
too.
food.
Coffee, biscuits, cakes. Actually, I asked them to bake. I gained something.
Well, next time I will do that.
Win-win.
But usually I provide them for them and make the atmosphere like a real scientific meeting. And that group has to stand up next to the poster and explain everything about their poster. When somebody coming, and everybody have to go around, so they learn, and then they have to exchange the materials.
The poster is individually made, or is a poster representing the group?
Group poster.
Group poster, okay. So okay.
So one group, one poster.
So how do you split the presentation? Is just one leader of the group who presents, or?
No, actually everybody have to master everything in the poster.
Okay.
And everything. I usually make the guidelines. Here is what is information that you're looking for, and when somebody asks question, there is no one person so everybody has to.
Okay. On the grid.
Yeah.
And what do you think didn't work in your experience?
Because every week I have to go around, and this is a big class, and it's really tiring for me go around answering questions, because there are also usually there are many questions at one group, and I have to divide I have 10 maybe 12 groups, and I only have like 100 minutes for one lecture, and I have divided this 100 minutes between 12 groups, and sometimes one group is just so not working, and I have to spend more time on them. And some group are really excellent, they are really beyond my expectation to do something like that. So it's really a big rank in this.
Thank you.
I'm still considered newbie in teaching experience because my teaching experience less than 3 years.
Okay.
So still in learning process. But what I've done now, I do a blended learning. Blended learning, which is provide the informations and everything before the class, and during the class I just facilitate the students, so they present, they discuss between them, and then presented in front of the class, they are teach their friends. So I just facilitate the class.
Much more committed.
Yes. And also use online teaching such as Kahoot and what they call that, today's meet, discussing today's meets. But I still online teaching like Kahoot, today's meet,
I don't know this one. What's the name?
Kahoot, Kahoot, Kahoot.
You use clickers with Kahoot. You can use
No idea.
clicking like people can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used that before.
online
Yeah,
content.
Popular in Asia. I heard about that.
The other one is
Today's meet. Today's meet.
2 or 2 days.
Today.
2
Today's
days.
meet. MET.
Meet.
Yeah. It's like today's meet like a WhatsApp, so you can discuss online the website. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is chat forum.
Check.
Yeah. But because my teaching experience less than 2 years, so I'm still learning. So
Yeah.
it's very nice to attend this workshop, just to interact with others and exchange ideas.
Thank you.
I think for me, one of the approaches that I do is I make them think of one food product innovation because I'm teaching fish processing. So they are divided into several groups, like 5 to 6 students in one group. So they are given 10 weeks, so they have to come up with food based on seafood. As many fettuccine or swimming, as long as it has to be from seafood, so they have to come up with some sort of innovation, food innovation. So towards the end of the week, like week 10, judges will come, they will make the real product on that day, only for 2 hours. The product making is for only 2 hours.
When you preparing, cooking.
So my lab is more on cooking for the lab for the students. So the judges will come with around 7 or 8 judges. So they will pick one, the best one, the winner. Yeah, but they cannot repeat whatever that they have in the market.
So it's like what's the name? MasterChef.
It's really important.
Fantastic.
So it's one that they can think out of the box.
Fantastic.
And we plan to market the product.
Are there products that are coming out of such exercises? New products?
Yeah, new products are coming very soon, but we cannot release that for now. We are planning that for another subject for next semester. We are planning to generate money as well. But it's still that's in the process.
But that will be good to bring it up when we are talking about
bersanding.
No. You might come up with ideas for new product developments in Europe.
Don't say it in the other group. Don't say it. I'll put it in the presentation.
2 times, please.
I'll put it in the presentation.
Do the students then write a business plan for their ideas? Like, how do they protect their ideas? If
I think
somebody
you should
came up
visit
with
your
that, in my
place to
country
see how
anyway, I'd be
you
in a lot of trouble. If a student came up with a really innovative
provide
idea
or
and I
offer
didn't
that
provide a
program.
way to
Menarik.
3 weeks before the judging competition day,
MTA dah
will come up with a
lulus
list
kan?
of products that they try to
Lulus ni
make.
dah
I
lama
think it's
dah.
of
Tapi
like
kami
the
baru
articles of
tukar
1,000
3 days to
change.
4 years.
But it has to be
Ini baru
not
first
copyright, I mean
time.
not copying what
Belum
the
habis lagi
market
satu
now. It has to be really new.
But if one group comes up with a new way of combining spices and products and preparations, do you guide them to protect that
Yes, I
knowledge?
do guide in terms of the innovation side and the safety guidelines as well, because we don't ask them to use any types of additive, food additives.
So you might guide them even to get a patent.
Yes. But it's a long way to go.
Yeah, sure.
So I have example as well, probably can continue to some of the products that they made in the lab. Here, like nasi lemak sushi. You know, nasi lemak is one of our traditional food done in Malaysia for breakfast. Nasi lemak, the rice. So they make it,
Like nasi lemak burger
Like
in
nasi
Singapore.
goreng? No, what is it?
nasi different rice.
This one.
We usually have that in the morning for breakfast. So they make it like a sushi. How they eat it like a roll. Like a roll.
A roll with fish inside.
Oh, dia riau lah.
And the seaweed is actually from seafood as well. Seaweed is actually considered as aquatic life. So that's why they don't have that as innovation. So they
Oh
don't
my
have
goodness.
so
Real good.
They don't really have you need to have a plate for nasi lemak. You can have sushi like one
Kat Singapore dia ada burger nasi lemak.
This is clever, very clever, your students. Huh?
In the presentation.
The students actually, they are very, how to say, they're really beyond our thinking.
I know, that's why I say you just have to structure it and they will come up with the ideas.
I am amazed with their ability most of the time. So I've never looked down on it. But they are amazing.
Sorry.
Just to listen.
We teach about, for example, if you big farm, we teach in the farm, or today every week, or once a week, every week. We explain about the how to prepare corn, how to culture the stream, and or and also we did what the experiment did. For example, we every student, group student with one proposal for culture office, for example, various or pangasius maybe to make one proposal, and we will give money for the student to products fish, for example, in industry or raw.
That's good as well.
Because I teach in vocational school. There's more vocational.
If I just may say that, my experience in dealing with the universities in Asia versus European universities in Europe, you pay much more attention to the vocational training.
Yes.
And sometimes I think that you exaggerate. Let me be very honest. No, because in my opinion there is a difference between a university and polytechnic, whatever name that you are using. And the borderline is very fluid in Asia. To some extent this is good. Yeah. Yes. Whereas in Europe we have a lot of our institutions that are too academic, very qualified, very academic, but where at the end the students are complaining that there is not enough hands-on, that there is not enough creativity that you do. So I think this project is a unique opportunity to match these two and see where there is maybe too much of one kind in one region and too less.
We get into too many legalities in our countries, you know, where students invent something, suddenly it's a big headache. And so a lot of teachers actually shy out. Or even taking students on field trips with a big liability problem. And so you just sometimes don't do it. Whereas in Asia, you can do that. You just go, let's get on a bus and go to Thailand and go to Malang, and they go. You know, a couple of students, they get stopped at the border and they get pulled off the bus, and we'll just leave them behind, you know. They're adults, you know.
They have learned the concept of the
whereas I would get in a lot of trouble.
Local shops, Vietnamese product.
Yeah, that's clever. Well, basically,
Still time.
Okay, just a small introduction. Is that a group of students, mainly if it's a group like 40, 50, 100 students, they cannot go all to a fish farm, they cannot all touch the water because they cause stress to the fish, and they can transmit diseases, so they cannot do that because of biosecurity. Also, more sophisticated equipment. This is a skimmer, but there are skimmers much more sophisticated, so they cannot arrive here to this room, plug and unplug tubes and touch these because they will ruin, and we cannot buy sophisticated equipment. So there's skimmers, very simple, like this one, even more simple, and then they can touch, they can understand how does it work, and the basics.
That's very important. Understand how it works, because we have too long the mentality making very sophisticated things in Europe, bringing it through the development cooperation projects to Indonesia. It breaks down, and they have to buy spare parts in Denmark because they don't know how it functions.
So many students, they are anxious, which I understand, to touch the water. They want to touch. They want to touch, and they cannot, for the reasons I said before. So sometimes with very simple equipment, but the basics is the same basics as a very sophisticated one and the big one. And maybe they can create a new one just in case.
So this is exactly what I was asking about the definition of innovation. Using a previous knowledge, but in a different way. It's not something new, it's something different.
It's just for practical classes. They can touch board.
The Vietnamese students in Ghent learn to work with very sophisticated protein skimmers. We allow them to disassemble. Now you go to Anteux and there are shops where they are selling and making the local protein skimmers.
I like that.
I still want to. Did you finish? Can I still? I want to say something negative.
Yes, please.
On innovation. That and I think it's a little bit repeating what Anita also mentioned here. We as teachers, I speak now for myself. I would love to find more time to provide more of these innovative things. And it was my, of course, now it's over. But I really wanted to have a lot of short video clips on a lot of, but it takes the time to make all these video clips. I started and at a certain moment I had to give up. I didn't have the time.
Did you stop because of the time involved in making them, or because of bureaucracy?
No. The time to make it.
Some of your paper. Not because you're busy with other things.
Yeah.
Recognizing that in the Canadian system, it is amazing what they call educational textbooks.
Yes, exactly.
Where you just go to
Please
the
don't.
And this is where management of universities should provide the facilities to, so that we do not have now to become a cameraman and this and that. That we can simply set up the test.
Multi-skilled. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the point we're being asked to consider is how aquaculture educators in Asia and Europe collaborate in innovative teaching.
We had some wonderful experiences already at this table.
Yeah.
On how there are complementary interests, synergies.
Give me some of those examples.
Oh God, we had lots of them. Like
Maybe we
Try and remember.
Well, that in Europe, and I think it might be an interesting discussion with some of the other tables, I'm sure, if I see Johan and others there. But in Europe, our aquaculture training is very, very academic. And I remember you were in some of these meetings of AquaTnet. The outreach should be considered, the interaction with industry should be considered, and we do efforts. I can tell you we all do efforts. But when we hear now, today, here at this table, on how the involvement with test farms, with commercial farms, students producing their fish and selling the fish and getting a bonus if they can produce more. So we see many, many examples here where maybe the emphasis is a little bit more on vocational. So academic training, vocational training, there should be a little bit of blend of both. I think there is much more emphasis on vocational in Asia, and there is maybe too much on academic in Europe. But I think we can have a very interesting discussion with the whole group.
We'll start that discussion. I'm going to write that down because neither of the other groups has got that. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
I'm
You get a
surprised.
gold badge. Well done. Some fresh thoughts
good.
into the thing. This is where I wish I'd started in the laptop. I'll start in
Right. We should have looked at that.
So we launched straight into something when everybody else was writing. So I'll write this up. But talk amongst yourselves about what sort of collaborations you've been involved in between the two regions. Just want to get this bullet.
what kind of collaborations between Asia?
Yeah, and Europe.
My university is hopeless. Anybody else want to comment?
Well, I see that at some other tables, Wageningen has been very much involved, Ghent has also been very much involved. And it has been, I can really tell you that although it was considered that we were coming to Asia with ideas on innovation and teaching, but it has been very rewarding to also see that interaction. And a lot of the, well, since we have that program, we have many of our students coming for an internship or for thesis work to Asia, to Vietnam, to Thailand. Indonesia, I don't know if we have done it already. Have done it. Yeah. And I think this is what now, what happened in the past, because of opportunities of funding, we should try to do it a more structured way now through that EURASTiP project. I think that's a good opportunity.
I have an idea. Should we discuss it?
Yeah, no, we finish and then we tell you.
Okay. So there's different atlas. This is one example. There's books. There's online atlas. This one is about salmonid diseases. Can be about histology, about anatomy, species, fish species, and others. Maybe an idea could be to make a color atlas of aquaculture projects or aquaculture species, Europe and Asia. And just one picture of a fish farm, maybe with information or legend, with the location, with the species produced, the features of the fish farm, methods. Obviously that it's impossible to include all information, but with examples of Europe and Asia. Could be the species, could be projects, could be the environmental impact. So pictures giving the, because the target public, the target could be public, general public, could be students, could be teachers, and they could use that as examples of aquaculture in a different continent.
And then we would see the big differences, and I just take now Indonesia, with all the small farms that you have on the group hatcheries, the type of backyard farms, which are still very popular in countries like in Indonesia. And in Europe, this is simply gone, this is finished. And it would be good, because I think what you do here in Asia is a business. It works, it is a very successful business. In Europe, those who didn't consolidate disappeared. Yeah. And just to compare and maybe together analyze what are the reasons of these different, but first I agree with you, first you need to have some documentation.
Well, it could be a book, it could be online, or something that I don't know how to do, virtual reality, like underwater to see the species. And then it could be a work, could be done by students, could be done by teachers, and it could be used by everybody. And it could be a work between two group of countries.
Why don't we get together a bunch of people from various universities and try to teach a joint course, like an exposure type course? That would also accomplish similar goals.
On specific topics.
Yeah, on specific topics. What I find frustrating is so many of the Swedish students have never been outside of their little box. And the best thing that could possibly happen to them is be showed up on a fish farm in Indonesia, and suddenly, like, the world is a bigger place than what they thought, right? Than their iPad. And so I've been organising a course now in Colombia where we're doing similar things. You know, Colombian veterinary students and Swedish veterinary students are mixing. And the concerns of the different groups are so different, not just tropical versus temperate, but just of the scale of the production and the types of problems that veterinary students, and we're doing it very problem-based, where they're helping each other solve disease problems. Each group is assigned, there's 3 Colombians and 3 Swedes in each group, and then they're assigned to a... But I just think we do need more of this joint teaching. Well, we've got David here at the table. Because he figures out how these things work for each state.
With my magic wand. I travel everywhere with it. How geared up are the different institutions and education providers to offer a joint course?
Yeah, like how do we do it? If I say, okay, I want to offer a course in Malang, I know all your colleagues there, I've worked with them, I like them, but let's do it. How do we do it? I mean, it's not simple.
It's not simple, yeah.
And there's nothing like that currently happening.
No.
No.
And that's what we should be here to discuss, not to hijack the session.
No, it all gets captured.
But you asked us what you think are, ideas.
And would there be any resistance to that within universities, within places that say, no, well, we couldn't possibly work with
We just need
an
support.
institution in Sweden because the way our courses are structured is so completely different. But,
Within Europe, we've done it. Within Europe, we've exchanged students back and forth a lot with the Erasmus and stuff. I just can't figure out how to do it when it comes to, say, Malaysia. I mean, I'm not excluding Indonesia. I just happen to have colleagues at same Malaysia who I know really well, and I've been trying for 4 years to figure out how we can go back and forth in a way that's meaningful. And actually do courses together or because research is research. You can always get money for research exchanges, but if you actually want to teach somebody something, how do you do it?
Does the EURASTiP support European teachers to Asian countries?
yes. And Asians and vice versa in exchange.
So
So
you
yes.
can pay for a teacher to go?
There are travel and subsistence within it. So there are actual, we wouldn't pay per diem rates or salaries or something like that. But for, say, as an educator, this could be a 10-day funded exchange. So information that
You're coming to Sweden.
which was launched yesterday, and if you look up EURASTiP.eu/exchanges, as of yesterday afternoon, that wasn't rehearsed. We didn't rehearse the opportunity to do it. As of yesterday, that was made live. So the funding, there are 3 funding calls. The first one of which closes at the end of February. And that could fund an educator to go for an institution in Europe and an institution in Southeast Asia to connect and to have an exchange between them. And if that was the sort of output that could come out of one of these exchanges, then that would be interesting. But in terms of the teaching, there's parity between them. So if you had a module at a university in Malaysia, it would be recognised by a European.
It needs, this
So
is
the benchmarking of accreditation
credit
hasn't
exchange, for example, is already approved between some universities in Europe and some universities in Asia, Wageningen, Sterling, Ghent, but with EURASTiP, we would like to see this happening so that the guidelines for universities in Malaysia, Indonesia could be used as a reference to convince your authorities to model.
You're keen to speak. No, I was not to speak just because I had my shoulder. I've been sensing the tension.
What's going on? Somebody's receiving a
Turkey coming back.
We finished your session. You're a bit safer.
The international mobility is extremely important, and the results in Europe, at least between European countries with Erasmus, is extremely positive. But between Asia and Europe, probably it would be important to harmonize courses. One day in the future, accreditation, so this to be easier for the students to know where to go, which courses to choose, or disciplines or models. That's basically
Well, and this is exactly one of the, it's not in this workshop because here it's more on teaching, but we will have 2 more similar workshops, and one will be specifically on what are the limitations, what are the restrictions for mobility. And that's where your credit system, well I say your, it's probably different in Malaysia, from Vietnam, we have exactly the same in Europe, number of years ago. And gradually we have come up with discussing with universities in Portugal, in Spain, in different countries, and this has been a bottom-up approach where we, among the teachers, we have come up what would be in for my university to be able to send our students to Lisbon University and have the credits accepted there. And now we have the ECTS, European Credit Transfer System. Most universities have subscribed to it, so that means a student from Indonesia who enrolls in Ghent, a 4-semester program, and maybe for a full semester they can go to Wageningen or to different, even to different universities, get the credits accepted by Ghent University, finish with a master diploma from Ghent University, but maybe 3 credits in Sweden and 4 credits in so, and I think this would be unique for you within Asia, and that's ASEAN FEN. And we would love to see also that interaction in the 2 ways with the European universities.
Can I add some? Okay. Currently in Asia, we have this AIMS program. Known as Asian International Mobility for Students, and this program has been approved by the government from all the Asian countries. So it's a reciprocal basis. So for example, in our university, we register the agriculture course as the AIMS program. So in this, all courses will be taught in English. Yes. So for example, in Thailand, certain university they register the hospitality. Then the hospitality program will be taught in English as well. So we will send off our students to another AIMS registered university.
Can you repeat the abbreviation?
Asian International Mobility for Students, undergraduate students. Yeah. So maybe for Asian Fest, we can use the similar platform to go further out of Asia. Yeah. So government will fund some of the money, but some part of the money have to support by the university. But if more foreign funding can involve in this, maybe it can be a successful program.
If you allow me, David, I will just comment on what you were saying. Yesterday was the board meeting of ASEAN FEN. I was just briefly in for one item on the agenda. ASEAN Secretariat. I know from your leaders that this is something on paper, but apparently not very effective. But the EU is spending a lot of money, and we are talking many tens of millions of euros that the EU is allocating to ASEAN for activities within ASEAN, where there is a benefit also with Europe. So yesterday I spoke to the leaders of the ASEAN FEN members. If they could establish good contacts with the representative of Indonesia in ASEAN, the representative of Vietnam in ASEAN, and that you could convince that Asian Fisheries and Aquaculture Committee that mobility in aquaculture education, the EU, they told me in Brussels, but Brussels cannot impose on ASEAN. It needs to be a bottom-up request. But the EU will immediately approve that several million euros could be made available through the ASEAN Secretariat for mobility within the ASEAN FEN program. So I really hope, we cannot do anything, but if now through the universities you can make the right contacts and bring that up, and then that would in fact fill in what you have the structure in place. But then we would also be interested, like what was mentioned, how could we have some agreements? We do not want to change your system, we will not change our system, but where could we create some tools and methods that X-ECTS corresponds with Y, whatever system you call it in Asia, and that we can really accept a student from your university coming for this particular course worth 2 credits in the European system, maybe worth 2.5 credits or 3. We have to see how they can compare to each other.
Yes, first.
Well, my first comment is about what Patrick already mentioned, that to be able to have this exchange credit, we have like, I think we have almost the same platform, if you call it. Like what is in your system, it should be compatible with what is in our system. And it will require finance, I guess, and also some time to develop the not similar but compatible program between your university in Europe, between these partner universities. And I think that's a good idea. And just how are we going to do that? And the second comment is about what Joyce already mentioned about how are we going to do the exchange. Well, what I think is if we have like a summer course, so some students from Sweden in group and with the teacher come to Indonesia and have this real field experience in the field. Of course, we can design the course in advance, what we're gonna do in the field and etc. And also some students from Indonesia can come and see how advanced the salmon culture is in Norway. No, you're in Sweden, right?
Sweden.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
So something like that, because Europe also has this advanced aquaculture, and we are very diverse in Indonesia. That's maybe in Europe they don't exist anymore, but they can learn. So the students from Indonesia. So summer course, I think, is a good place to start.
I fully agree. This is a good way to start because with the summer course, this could be recognized. Most of our European universities, they have a few credits that they can fill in on their own. I don't remember, there is a name for it. And it's mostly 3 or 5 credits. And such a summer course or intensive course, ITP, they have different names for it.
And for 2 weeks, 3 weeks in Indonesia and go to the field, stay in the field, sleep with a mosquito, for example.
Good experience for them.
So something like that. Yeah, that's
There's a couple of examples that were given in it, and mindful this is the last group. Nobody has so far really touched on open educational resources to tables I've come to. I'm not sure if anyone has any observations on how they are being used, how they're not being used, how they could be used, if there's no interest in using them.
Through the educational program with Vietnam, we have tried, but it's a cost time to prepare it. And I think many universities have big plans, but to fill them in, then suddenly the reality comes, time, experience, money.
And universities have policies. We cannot simply upload anything to the public before screening by the university. So we have to go through the university screening before we can publish. That will take us a lot of time.
There's a long process to get the approval, right?
Yeah. And they need us to embed the university logo there. Copyrights,
everything.
So really it's looking like summer schools and exchange programs. I think this is a much more, there's a much stronger appetite for that sort of thing.
Well, because it is easier to do. I think many of us, I remember I had also high expectations to do that because this is really something where you can have it all accessible at any moment of time. But the commitment to complete it, it's time, it's most of the time we are not professional cameramen and what is it, and universities, at least I speak for Belgium, is not providing these facilities. Maybe other countries, other universities might be providing, I think in Australia they do, Canada also, and then they really make money out of it.
Oh yeah, they make it,
It's
everything
business,
is worth with all the Asian students coming.
Australia, it's big business.
big business, yes.
Especially the MOOC.
Yes.
MOOC, yeah.
No, and they come into these countries here to make publicity about and convince universities to subscribe to their MOOCs. And, it's business.
But it's being done for money.
Yeah,
The greater
you're
glory of education. I have this sort of noble heroic vision in my heart that
Hey, if they get an education and they make some money, what's the harm, you know? It's a
and they say we've sold out. They say we've sold out. And what are your views on greater, the other two tables mentioned it, but greater involvement in industry in teaching? So having people coming in, say addressing not skills gaps, use your words carefully, sort of curriculum gaps. So in Europe there's less knowledge of shrimp or ornamentals or tropical fish. In Southeast Asia it might be suggested there's less expertise in aquaculture engineering.
Yes.
And the idea that industry figures could come in and teach, is that viable? Would there be resistance?
You do a lot with industry, from the university to the industry. But the question in the other direction, do you have industry people who give classes in your program?
Yeah, but not regular.
Yeah.
Like,
The fact that you do it.
Yes.
The fact that you do it.
Yeah.
At least we get paid? How does it work?
We get paid, but we pay for the flight
Mm-hmm.
expenses,
Costs.
Yes.
Costs are cost. But no.
So it is more they're coming for one class or a couple of classes and then go back.
Or sometimes we just have a general lecture where all the students from all years coming, and he will give the lecture about what a student want. Actually, we ask student, what do you want to? We will have this lecture, and who do you have suggestion? What do you need? And then we contact.
In Europe is growing, at least in Germany, is growing the interest of selling live shrimps, so Vaname, at least Vaname. So not in large scale, but there must be technology and knowledge to keep shrimps.
In the Netherlands, in Belgium, we have one close to Brussels. Live,
Yes. So instead of selling shrimps frozen, it's growing, and I believe that it will grow more and more in the future. To even if it's not to breed, because it might bite the larvae in some countries.
From US.
And to grow them in tanks, so they can sell live shrimps in supermarkets.
Lobster and oysters.
Yeah. So,
but it's niche market, and it's high because they sell it at $40 US a kilo. But there is a market for it. Some restaurants. But I would like.
Yes, one last point. You're free to go because that was the alarm. So if you need your tea, then you're allowed to let me.
Oh, we like to go have tea.
A last question, and I got the ID. I got the ID from the question of David. I know that in some of your countries, and I'm referring now to Vietnam and to Thailand, but maybe it's in other countries as well, you still have universities and you still have research institutes.
Yes.
Yeah? Is there interaction? Do you send some of your students to the research institutes, and do you invite staff from the research institutes to teach in your programs?
Yes, we did.
Sometimes we co-supervise the students.
Very good. Okay.
You've all earned a cup of tea. Thank you. EURASTiP generosity.
Cup of tea is needed.